Welcome to our July 2020 Lunar Ritual. Oak Spirit Sanctuary recognizes the reality of historic and ongoing systemic racism and racial injustice in America and supports those who work for justice and equality. In the wake of the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and too many others, our nation has seen a revigoration of the movement for true equality in America. OSS supports those who are working towards racial justice.
Hello, I'm Darcy, the former May Queen of Oak Spirit Sanctuary, and this is Badger, one of our former May Kings. And we are so glad to be doing this magical working with you today.
For the July Lunar here at Oak Spirit Sanctuary's diaspora community, we're talking to you from Wisteria, home to a lot of pagans here in Southeast Ohio. And our whole network is mobilizing to support Black liberation and to support the people out in the streets protesting and working for change. This is to empower all of us to participate in whatever ways we can and that makes sense for us. And also as a protection spell for the people who are out there getting beat down by cops.
Prior to performing the ritual, please view the workshop on how to prepare your herbs and sigil. You may prefer to have your sigil already drawn prior to the ritual, with all of the herbs blended and charged. Alternately, you could draw your sigil during the period of reflection following For My People by Margaret Walker. A banishing or cleansing should be done prior to the casting of circle. Following the incantation, launch the sigil from the physical realm into the magical realm. The most common way to do this is through burning, but one can also tear it, scribble it out, or even eat it. The object is to give it back to the universe. The idea is to release it so that it can do its work on the next level, sending with it a portion of our own will, power, and intent. Once the sigil has been released, when or wherever you draw the sigil, it will tap into the collective energy we will all create with this rite.
Let's bring our magic together.
For My People by Margaret Walker. For my people everywhere, singing their slave songs repeatedly, their dirges and their ditties and their blues and jubilees, praying their prayers nightly to an unknown God, bending their knees humbly to an unseen power. For my people, lending their strength to the years, to the gone years, and to the noun years, and the maybe years, washing iron, cooking, scrubbing, sewing, mending, hoeing, plowing, digging, planting, pruning, patching, dragging along, never gaining, never reaping, never knowing, and never understanding. For my playmates in the clay and dust and sand of Alabama, backyards, playing, baptizing, and preaching, and doctor, and jail, and soldier, and school, and mama, and cooking, and playhouse, and concert, and store, and hair, and Miss Chumby and company. For the cramped, bewildered years we went to school to learn, to know the reasons why, and the answers to, and the people who, and the places where, and the days when, in memory of their bitter hours when we discovered we were black, and poor, and small, and different, and nobody cared, and nobody wondered, and nobody understood. For the boys and girls who grew in spite of these things to be men and women, to laugh and dance and sing and play and drink their wine and religion and success, to marry their playmates and to bear children and then die of consumption and anemia and lynching. For my people thronging 47th Street in Chicago and Lenox Avenue in New York and Rampart Street in New Orleans, lost, disinherited, dispossessed, and happy people filling their cabarets and taverns and other people's pockets, needing bread and shoes and milk and land and money and something all our own. For my people, walking blindly, spreading joy, losing time, being lazy, sleeping when hungry, shouting when burdened, drinking when hopeless, tied and shackled, entangled amongst ourselves by the unseen creatures who tower over us omnisciently and laugh. For my people, blundering and groping and floundering in the dark of churches and schools and clubs and societies, associations and councils and committees and conventions, distressed and disturbed and deceived and devoured by money-hungry, glory-craving leeches, preyed on by facile force of state and fad and novelty, by false prophet and holy believer. For my people, standing, staring, trying to fashion a better way from confusion, from hypocrisy and misunderstanding, trying to fashion a world that will hold all the people, all the faces, all the Adams and Eves and their countless generations. Let a new earth rise. Let another world be born. Let a bloody peace be written in the sky. Let a second generation full of courage issue forth. Let a people loving freedom come to growth. Let a beauty full of healing and a strength of final clenching be the pulsing in our spirits and our blood. Let the martial songs be written. Let the dirges disappear. Let a race of men now rise and take control. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
In this night and in this hour, we call upon the sacred power. Circle round and power abound, our call is equality and justice found. Our fire burns, our desire strong, our voice raised in our song. We are the fire, for change is our power. Step by step, voice by voice, will by will. Our power is vast, the circle is cast.
I call to the east, to the element of air. I recognize your presence in our sacred time and space, and ask for your power in our ritual. Air, empower our breath as we raise our voices against injustice. Fill our lungs as we chant in the streets. Give us strength to be a torrential wind and communicate with others, but help us also know when we need to die down, to be silent when we need to listen and learn. Be our spark of inspiration and the wind at our backs pushing us towards change. Hail and welcome.
Element of South, of fire, I greet you and call upon your power for our right. Fire, you imbue us with drive, action, passion, will, and motivation. We feel you as righteous anger rising in our hearts when we witness injustice and brutality. We see you in the raging blaze that burns institutions of oppression to the ground. I call upon you to fill our bodies and minds with your power. Burn away ignorance and apathy. Ignite within us the passion and the will to fight for justice. Hail and welcome.
I call to the powers of the West, the elements of water, to bring forth the powers of healing and justice, the powers of unity and integration, and never again segregation. Powers of water, come, join us, and cleanse the hate. Hail and welcome.
To the element of earth, in these times of uncertainty and unrest, I recognize your strength as it motivates the change we seek. I call upon your stability to hold us steady on this journey when we are insecure. I recognize you in this circle and in all spaces. I bid you hail and welcome.
Hail to the ancestors, you who are blood of our blood and bone of our bone. You who have walked this land before us, you whose shoulders we stand upon. We call to the ancestors who have been oppressed, whose voices need to be heard. We ask that you help us recognize the injustices of our past that continue to the present, to pull the veil of secrecy and reveal the painful truth of the cruelty committed. In the name of history, in the name of progress, in the name of humanity. Help us break this cycle of injustice, of racism, of fear, and of hate, that we may step forward to build a better world for those who will, in turn, call us ancestor. We bid you hail and welcome.
We call to the divine. We recognize the source of all being and action, the ground of being, the void and womb from which everything emerges, and to which everything will return, to the nothing. To the universal energy that flows between and animates all things, the sacred spirit of love, the divine spark, to the all. And to those gods and goddesses in all their myriad forms who guide, protect, and work through us. Most especially as we continue the long struggle against oppression, to those divine beings of justice, Daiki, Ma'at, Forseti, Purgu, Shamash, Thamus, Inanna, Kali, and to all the gods and goddesses of the oppressed, whose names are unknown to us through repression. We humbly honor you and ask that you guide us and aid us in and beyond this circle. To all the divine beings, we bid you hail, and welcome.
Justice. What do we accept as justice in our country? For a long time, the status quo has accepted justice as it is. But for just as long, there have been people who have known, whose hearts have beaten, whose words have told us that this is not true justice. That what we put up and celebrate in our nation is letting our beloveds and brothers and sisters down, harming them instead of holding them up. We are gathered here today because we know that it is long overdue time for our system of justice in this country to change. And we are here to change it. We are here to return balance, actual balance, to our beloveds, to our brothers and sisters.
The struggle that we're now all joining in earnest has been going on for a long time. It takes perseverance to move it down the field and take it the next step. With this sigil, we are empowering ourselves in this movement. We are empowering each other and answering that call. That feeling that you get when you persist and break through and feel victorious over the obstacle, that's the energy that we want to channel and bring and put into this sigil as we're raising the energy tonight.
We called our allies here in the circle tonight, the elements, the ancestors, the deities. But allyship goes two ways. We are not only calling on our spiritual guides for help, they call on us, and they are calling on us tonight.
We might forget the fact that we are two powerful magical beings that can be summoned if we are willing to answer the call.
We each have something to offer. We each are being called to contribute.
But we need to be listening to that voice within, to who is and what is summoning us, righteous and justice in this world today.
While visualizing in your mind the ritual's intent and your vision for how you may work to manifest justice in the world, raise your energy, drawing upon the powers we have called into our circle. Focus on the qualities of strength, determination, safety for yourself and our allies.
The deities of justice, they are whispering in your ear. Somewhere inside of you, you know what they are asking of you.
I will listen to and believe Black, Brown, and Indigenous people.
Listen.
I am here to listen and learn.
There are so many ways to help, each of us with our own gifts. You have one. Listen closely now. Listen quietly. Feel into it. How are you being called?
I am called to use my creative skills to raise awareness about injustice.
What will you do?
I will use my voice to speak for those who cannot breathe.
I will keep making calls until they arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor in her sleep.
Listen.
I will continually listen and learn. I will do what I can to help open the minds of my fellow white people.
I will stand up, speak, act, not stay silent when I witness injustice, racism, or cruelty.
Your allies are summoning you. How will you show up?
I will
march
show up
in
on the streets.
What do you have to give?
I can and will support financially.
I will contribute to bail funds to help get activists out of jail. How are you called to help?
That I will raise my children to see and fight injustice wherever it may occur.
Listen. Listen closely. Hold the knowledge of how you're being called in your heart and in your energy, as now we turn to making the sigil. Hold your vision for the more beautiful world your heart knows is possible, and your mind in your hands, in your magic. Pour all of this into the sigil. We need all of our contributions, each piece coming together in community in this moment to truly be effective in our change.
Focus and pour forth that energy into the herbal blend. Garlic for strength, cayenne for determination, salt for protection. Hold these herbs in your hand. Awaken to the aroma. Breathe it in. Amplify your focus and intent. With all 3 herbs blended and charged, with intent in your hand, sprinkle or trace the lines of the Black Lives Matter sigil with the herbal blend, transferring the raised energy into the sigil. Envision your allies doing the same on many altars, each of us sharing, connecting, and joining our energy together in a unified intent. Focus intently on the sigil and say, charged by our community, these lines carry empowerment. Charged by our community, these lines form solidarity. As allies, we charge these lines into our sigil of empowerment. Use it, share it, manifest it, so mote it be. Charged by our community, these lines carry empowerment. Charged by our community, these lines form solidarity. As allies, we charge these lines into our sigil of empowerment. Use it, share it, manifest it, so mote it be.
I can no more be bound than the hawk in flight, and I am the fires that burn in the night, and I am the shaking and the quaking of the earth, and I am the waters of the world's rebirth. I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom. I am no more contained than the waves on the sea. I cannot be chained because I must be free. And I am the fire that burns in all things, the bell that tolls with freedom's call. Shake when you hear me ring. I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom. I can no more be bound than the hawk in flight, and I am the fires that burn in the night, and I am the shaking and the quaking of the earth, and I am the waters of the world's rebirth. I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom. I am no more contained than the waves on the sea. I cannot be chained because I must be free. And I am the fire that burns in all things, the bell that tolls with freedom's call. Shake when you hear me ring. I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom, I am freedom. I can no more be bound than the hawk.
Charged by our community, these lines carry empowerment. Charged by our community, these lines form solidarity. as allies who charge these lines into our sigil of empowerment. Use it, share it, manifest it, so mote it be.
I am freedom. I am freedom. I am freedom. I am no more contained than the waves on the sea. I cannot be chained because I must be free. And I am the fire that burns in all things, the bell that tolls with freedom's call. Shake when you hear me ring. I am freedom. I am freedom. I am freedom. I am freedom. I am freedom.
Join me as we take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Face east. Visualize yourself growing larger and larger, taller and taller, until you tower above the city you live in. See the continent as tiny to your majestic body. Now, even the earth is small beneath your feet. However, no matter how small the earth is, it is still firm and solid beneath your feet, anchoring you to the ground. You will not float away. Visualize yourself growing so large that the planets of our solar system are as tiny balls spinning at your feet. Soon, they are too small to see, as even the Milky Way becomes a small dot of light at your feet. Now visualize a dot of light coming from far above your head. It is only a tiny bit of light from its source, and if you saw its full brightness, you would be blinded immediately. It is 9 inches in diameter, and it is brighter than 10,000 suns, but still only a tiny portion of the source of this divine white light. Point to the sphere above your head with your finger and draw down a beam of light to your forehead, just above and between the eyes. Hold it. Breathe in. Exhale. Hold it. Breathe in. Exhale. Hold it. Breathe in. Exhale. We are now one within sacred space, connected and protected. So mote it be.
To the divines, as we prepare to step forth from this sacred circle, we once again honor you, praying that as we go forth to face a world in desperate need of change, we can draw from your strength and receive from you what gifts you may bestow. May you never be far from our minds and hearts. Allow us to act as servants, channels, and tools of your love and justice. We say to you, go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
Hail to the ancestors, you who are blood of our blood and bone of our bone. You who have walked this land before us, you whose shoulders we stand upon. You who are the voices of those who have been oppressed. We thank you for joining us in this rite, for helping us see a better way forward. We ask you to continue to guide us, that we may begin to right the wrongs of injustice. We ask you to gently remind us that change is not accomplished in a night of ritual, but in a lifetime of action. We bid you, go if you must, but please stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
As we navigate these difficulties from which meaningful change is made possible, I call upon your stability to guide us when we are lost, and your strength to empower us when the momentum of the moment is gone. Go if you must, but stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
Elements of the West, elements of water, we thank you for attending this rite and imbuing us with the power to heal. Allow us to reach deep inside and grasp the power to cleanse as we move forward in this battle for equality. Sweep us along with the river and cascade us all to meet in an ocean of unity. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
Element of South, of fire, we called upon you this rite to lend your energy to the righteous cause of social justice. We cannot merely wish for change. We cannot let our words be empty. Therefore, let us internalize your power so that we are driven to take action. Dwell in our hearts to sustain our efforts to burn away oppression. Like the first spark that spreads to a full blaze, igniting all in its path, let this fire not end until this work is done. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
I look to the east, to the element of air. I thank you for your presence in our rite today and for all that you give us. You are the spark and our inspiration for change. You are the words of truth and justice we speak. As our lungs fill in this moment, we ask that you continue to push us towards change and empower our voices as we speak and learn. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell.
In this night and in this hour, we call upon the sacred power. Circle round and power unbound, our call to equality and justice found. Our fire burns, our desire is strong, our voices raised in our song. We are the fire, for change is our power. Step by step, voice by voice, will by will, justice last, the circle is uncast. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the cause be ever in your heart. There nightmare.